So if you're looking at buying a Brompton acoustic bike, you'll be introduced to the fact that there's different lines of Brompton bikes. And what exactly does that mean? Well, there's the T line, the P line, and the C line. The C line being the original Brompton bike, and the P line and C line being big advancements on that C line bike, which we'll discuss in 1 second. If you're looking for a Brompton bike, you're familiar, I'm sure, with the C line, the G line, the T line, and the P line. But there's a little dark horse in the Brompton line called the A line, and in many ways it pays homage to the very first Brompton ever made, which was designed in terms of use case as a city bike. So the internal gear hub that's used on the A-line is the same hub that you might find on most Dutch bikes. So the 3-speed hub used on the A-line is that vintage sort of low-range hub used for the Dutch bike market. It's just used because it's just inexpensive. The A-line is a 3-speed hub, so it's going to be a little bit heavier. Typically, internal gear hubs are about 3 pounds, whereas the new 4-speed system is about half of that weight. But you get a bike that's very economical. The A-line really shows what the Brompton looked like, say, pre-2013. The seat on the A-line isn't the new seat that's got the built-in handle that you see on the C-line. You've got different roller wheels to roll the bike forward. It does not come with fenders or a rack. These are optional parts, so as you start to add those parts, you are approaching C-line territory in terms of money spent. One big thing about the A-line as well is that you don't get the folding pedal, so the bike, when folded, is going to have this sort of part that's just sort of sticking out. So in sum, Brompton, when they were building their very first bike, it really was meant to be the A-line. So moving on from the T-line, we move to the P-line, which has long been known in the Brompton lexicon as a superlight. And when they started introducing all these new lines, it was awarded the name P-line. We don't know what. The P-line, just like the old superlights of old, uses a half titanium frame. Maybe it's better to say that it uses a titanium swing arm back here and a titanium fork, and then wherever they could, they made the bike lighter, including magnesium pedals, titanium fender stays, and the list goes on. So who is the P-line for? Well, it's for someone who looks at the T-line and says, look, that's kind of pricey. This bike is half the price of the T-line and double the price of the C-line, but it's also significantly lighter than a C-line while not being quite as light as a T-line. So at just 21.8 pounds is where this bike starts. That's a really light bike that you can easily take up the stairs. Of course, the beautiful thing about titanium as well is that it's known for absorbing shock. So chromoly steel, which is what all of the bikes use in the C-line series, is really famous for absorbing shock, much better than, say, bikes that are made out of aluminum. So that means that already the C-line is a better bike if you're doing long distances. But titanium, while being lighter and stronger than steel, is also super resilient and exemplary at absorbing shock. And what's nice about that then is if you're doing longer rides, say for instance longer tours, this bike is absorbing shock and making your ride a lot more comfortable. And it's important to know that the titanium is placed where the wheels are, front and back, so it's meeting the shock right where it's coming up into the bike and absorbing it before it hits your body. So this bike, the P-line, also comes in a bunch of different gear options. There isn't the 1-speed like you find on the T-line, but there is the 4-speed, which once again is an amazing platform that offers lots of gear versatility while grouping the overall weight down. Perfect for someone who's got a commute that's maybe a little bit on the flatter side, but still wants some gears to choose from should a hill emerge. Then there's the 12-speed, and the 12-speed is an utter phenomena in terms of Brompton's advanced engineering. And the 12-speed is a true advancement on Brompton's part. This is a gear range that matches most modern mountain bikes and gravel bikes in terms of gear range. So suddenly you have a bike that can kind of do anything that a touring gravel bike or mountain bike can do. What that usually means then is that it can climb hills really well, giving you also a lot of speed when you want it, and then lots of gear choice in between that range. So lots of gear choice if you're just kind of cruising on a long trip and you're in one gear and you're like, oh, that doesn't feel quite right. I wish it was just a little bit easier. You've got that gear to switch into. So we're here today to talk about the Brompton G-line. It's
also a gravel bike. So it's not meant to be a gravel bike replacement. It's meant to be a bike that can simply do a lot more than a regular mountain bike. And the frictionless when you travel, basically the ultimate travel companion. So no, it's not a 100% gravel bike. Although we thought as a lark, it'd be really fun to enter into Canada's biggest gravel competition. So we entered this bike into the Paris Ancaster race, found ourselves a good semi-pro rider who was a friend of ours, and he ended up passing 600 people out of 2,000 entries, so it's about 30% of the competition. So it is actually a gravel bike too. It's a great city bike. It's a great sort of fun recreational in the forest bike. And it turns out you can take it into a gravel race. So we say it does everything. It's a proper mountain bike. It actually rides like a mountain bike, but it's not a mountain bike. Then it rides like a gravel bike. It's not a gravel bike. And it even rides a little bit like a BMX bike in a way. It's definitely not that either. Why was it designed for North America? Well, because North American cities, at least Canadian cities, all seem to have some sort of wilderness right inside of it. There's just so much recreational opportunity. And that's the idea of the G-Line, is that the original use case for the Brompton was a bike that was designed for train commuters who live in London, really don't have access to trails like the one we're riding inside their own city, and certainly never take the bike outside their city either. But here we are inside of a city, and it's a great bike to take outside of the city as well. So first things first, let's start with the T-Line bicycle, since it's Brompton's most advanced. Now, it's important to remember, if you haven't seen this before at least, that a Brompton isn't just something you have to lift all the time when you're walking with it. It does in fact tow. So every single Brompton comes with a set of auxiliary wheels right here, and they're designed for when you have the stem up like this position right here, and you can actually literally tow the bicycle, much like a suitcase. So while transporting a Brompton can often mean you're just towing it, which is a great feature if you're, for instance, going to a train station and you're sort of walking along the deck as the train pulls up, you're not sure when the doors are going to open, the doors open, you're towing the bike, you bring the bike onto the train now, you fold down the bike and off you go. Great, but what if you have to walk up a flight of stairs, especially if they're quite a long set of stairs? Then of course the lighter the bike, the better the bike for you. Now, on each individual Brompton bike, there is a handle built into the seat, but as you can see, the C-Line is already sort of dropping my shoulder quite a bit. It's quite heavy. The P-Line, which is a lot lighter because it's half of a titanium frame, is a lot lighter now. It's got great ease of use in terms of lifting, but nothing's lighter than a T-Line. You can just lift this baby up like this and easily walk up the stairs. So the other thing that's great about a lightweight bike is that it's fast and that it's fun. This bike feels like a little race car. It's super sporty. It just accelerates like crazy, and it corners really good too. Now the Brompton T-Line is the only bike in the Brompton line where you can actually buy a 1-speed. And that's for the minimalist cyclist who really wants 8.4 pounds of weight, just values something that's really light to lift, feels really fast and fun, and you know, just for bragging rights, it's the lightest bike out there. If you want something just a bit more practical perhaps, or maybe you have more hills in your route, there's also the 4-speed. 4-speed, unlike the 1-speed, offers now a really nice little climbing range and a nice range. You just want to get that bike going a little bit faster. And it uses Brompton's own derailleur system, a little 4-speed derailleur system that they also invented. And if you know anything about Brompton, they do that kind of thing. They will go to the last mile to design, you know, something that doesn't exist on the marketplace, create it and make it really awesome. And the 4-speed is a really good example of that. Their own design, offering a nice wide gear spread without, you know, a lot of weight. Finally, there's a 12-speed. The 12-speed is super intelligent. If you want a huge amount of gear range, we're talking the same gear range as like a high-end gravel bike or road bike nowadays, or even like a mountain bike, which has a massive gear range. The 12-speed is an internal gear hub mated to the 4-speed derailleur system. So you get both in one bike with 2 different shifters, left and right,
And that once again just gives you this phenomenally huge gear system. And who's that for? Well, that's for someone who's maybe using his titanium bike to take on a long tour, and they are suddenly, in a really hilly place with really steep hills too, and this 12-speed system is going to manage that just perfectly. So we talked a little bit about how the 4-speed uses Brompton's own proprietary technology that they themselves developed. It's also important to know that it's also true with the 3-speed hub. The 3-speed hub that Brompton uses is also their own development that they did with Sturmey Archer. It's been around for quite a long time, but it just tells you how far Brompton will go, almost to the ends of the earth, to make things that work for their bike and work perfectly. They don't just hang on other people's parts and expect the bike to work well. If they need the proper part, they'll make it and design it themselves. But that's also true for this frame. This bike was a 12-year project. The development of this titanium bike involved them actually buying an entire factory in northern England in Sheffield and designing their own titanium frames and tubes so that they could produce the bike that they want to see. And that's just what Brompton does. They're just known to be this engineering company where engineering comes first and other things like marketing, for instance, come second. If anything, the engineering is the marketing, and that's why people believe in the brand, is they go to the ends of the earth to make things right and to make things incredibly sophisticated and to push the envelope in terms of what a folding bike can do. So this isn't just a city bike anymore, the T-Line, it's also a fantastic performance bike. A bike you could take touring and almost feels like a road bike in some ways. It could be your commuter bike or perhaps the bike you take out on the weekend with your group rides.